We've seen some absolutely phenomenal Force feats on screen in Star Wars, from characters stopping entire ships with the Force, to Grandmaster Yoda manipulating entire armies in Legends continuity. But with all of that said, I think that the Mandalorian Season 3 finale goes to illustrate that Grogu is extremely important, and is potentially way more powerful than any of us realize, especially at this point in his life. So, students of the Force and acolytes of the galaxy, stick with us today, as we explain why I believe Grogu is more powerful than we all initially anticipated. A lot of what makes Grogu so special, obviously, is his species. In Star Wars canon, we are only aware of two other members of Yoda's species, that being Yoda himself and Yaddle, with Yoda being one of the most Force-sensitive and powerful individuals that the galaxy has ever seen. In Legends continuity, Yoda was able to turn the tides of entire battlefields just by using either battle meditation or telekinesis to destroy dozens, if not hundreds of droids at once. Yoda was an absolute powerhouse, and he was only outmatched by the might of the Chosen One in Anakin Skywalker, and the culmination of the Rule of Two in Sidious. And Grogu clearly follows in these footsteps. In the very first season, we saw him levitate a Mudhorn, as well as stop an Imperial shock trooper dead in their tracks. But now, I believe that Grogu has done something truly special, and something that no common Force sensitive could ever hope to achieve. In the finale, the formerly Imperial, now Mandalorian capital ship crash lands on the world of Mandalore, headed directly for the base that Grogu, Bo-Katan, Moff Gideon, and Din Djarin are. An explosion powerful enough to destroy an entire Imperial base and burn through the Beskar of Moff Gideon. And what does Grogu do? He uses the Force to create a shield around himself and his friends. And in my opinion, what's even more impressive following this is he doesn't seem to be extremely fatigued like he was in the previous season doing feats such as this. But what are some other examples of Force wielders doing something similar to this? And are they some of the most powerful Force wielders in all of Star Wars lore? The answer is yes. Let us start with the most similar feat, however, in Kanan Jarrus. Kanan Jarrus was a Jedi Knight. Kanan's abilities to touch the Force were nothing special. With that said, he did dedicate himself fully to learning about the Force as much as possible, and grew to be a valiant Jedi Knight and rebel by the time of his death. Kanan was killed by Governor Pryce right before the events of A New Hope, when Governor Pryce fired upon a fuel pod that Kanan was standing on. Kanan, in a last-ditch effort, used the Force to maintain the explosion, Force pushing his friends to safety and sacrificing his life as the explosion overcame him. Now, of course, there are some differences between Kanan Jarrus and Grogu's feat. However, I think the crash landing of an entire capital ship may have actually resulted in a larger explosion than a single fuel pod, and Grogu shielded Din Djarin and Bo-Katan with less effort than Kanan Jarrus did, a fully formed Jedi Knight. But what about individuals that were truly gifted in the powers of the Force? Another example that comes to mind is Darth Vader in Jedi Fallen Order. In Jedi Fallen Order, Darth Vader is able to hold back the massive pressure of a massive ocean on Fortress Inquisitorius, doing so without much effort at all. In my mind, this is actually very similar to Grogu's feat here, but again, this is Darth Vader, Lord of the Sith, Chosen One, and the most Force-sensitive individual in all of Star Wars lore. But what of Yoda's own species? What are some of the most insane Force feats of Grandmaster Yoda? And what could be some of the most insane feats that Grogu could again learn? In Legends, it was revealed that Yoda had an insane ability to draw upon the Force much quicker than any other Jedi could. It is stated by many Jedi Masters that when they sensed Yoda, he was indeed powerful, but nothing truly exceptional. However, what was exceptional was Yoda's ability to draw upon the Force extremely quickly, and seemingly draw upon the Force from nothing. In the Star Wars Fact Files, it says this: despite Yoda's frailty, Yoda's incomparable ability to summon the powers of the Force enables him to greatly enhance his agility and speed, unlike any other Jedi. Even Palpatine considered Yoda to be the greatest Jedi of all time, saying this: Palpatine enjoyed Yoda's company because the longer he sat smiling at Yoda, the longer the greatest Jedi Master of all time failed to recognize Palpatine for what he truly was, and every passing moment, the more satisfying the situation became. During the Battle of Coruscant in Legends continuity, Yoda was on the ground, and Yoda was considered the true hero of the ground assault. When the Separatists invaded, Yoda came to the front lines, using his power and telekinesis by pushing 2 droid transport tanks the size of buildings back onto the loading ramp, the ramp of an even larger ship, manipulating a ship the size of many skyscrapers on Coruscant. And I believe that with the proper training, Grogu can do the exact same thing. This feat in the 3rd season of The Mandalorian is only the very beginning, but I also believe that Grogu has something that Yoda does not, and that is the Mythosaur. It is clear that Grogu at the end of The Mandalorian does make a connection with the ancient beast the Mythosaur, using the Force technique known as Beast Control. The reason I believe Grogu knows how to do this is because Beast Control, or Animal Bond, is actually one of the first abilities taught to young Jedi in the Jedi Order, as it's one of the more simple abilities to learn on smaller animals. Of course though, the Mythosaur is the literal size of cities, and Beast Control is an ability that is very much underrated and has not been explored very much in Star Wars lore. One of the most terrifying practitioners of Beast Control was none other than Darth Bane, who used it to control Force Hounds as well as Bull Rancors. Some of the other most gifted practitioners would be Luke Skywalker and Jacen Solo from Legends continuity. But with that said, none of these characters besides Grogu has any right to the Mythosaur, as Grogu is now a Mandalorian apprentice. But with this, his Jedi training will also allow him to tame the Mythosaur, and I believe in the end, be a terrifying meld of the ideologies of a Mandalorian and a Jedi, in essence, becoming what Moff Gideon wanted to create in himself. However, gone about it the correct way, Grogu is important and powerful because he will represent an entirely new order and faction of a Force wielder. As we've seen, Grogu is now not shy in using the Force, and is even actively encouraged by Din Djarin to do so. Grogu could again be the uniting force of Mandalore like Tar Vizsla was, uniting the ideologies of a Jedi and the Mandalorians together under a brand new creed. Many have pointed out that Grogu would be around 100 years old by the time of the new Jedi Order fell, and although I do hope that he does not become a full Jedi and still chooses to walk the way of the Mandalore, it's important to illustrate just how incredibly naturally gifted Grogu is. In Star Wars canon, when concerning Grogu, we're not talking about someone who has the potential to be one of the top 10 most powerful Force wielders. We're legitimately seeing the beginnings and the inklings that Grogu could be somewhere among the top 5. Potential-wise, it's clearly there, with his only rivals really being Yoda himself, Luke, Anakin, and Sidious. But anyway, my friends, I just wanted to get this out there, as we're now realizing the full culmination and story of Grogu, and where it could be heading, as well as his absolutely massive power that is only building and building. But anyway, my friends and acolytes, what are your thoughts on this? And where do you think Grogu will end up power-wise by the end of his story? As always, my friends, thank you guys so much for watching. May the Force be with you, and have a great day.